Hello and welcome to this episode of Revive Thriveology. I interview Ashely Kanlic in this interview, and so I just want to give you a little quick trigger warning if this is maybe not an episode for you, because we're going to be talking about illness, loss of a family member, and it can get a little heavy. So if this isn't for you, go check out episode 2. Go listen to my top tips. If you haven't listened to it in a while, take another listen and see if there's another technique or tip that you want to implement. But today we're talking about a heavy issue. So often with my clients, we deal with a lot of these big issues. It can be positive issues, starting a business, having a baby, building a new home, all these great things. But then also I work a lot with illness, death, divorce, a lot of heavy subjects. So I thought today I would have Ashely Kanlic come and talk to us about her experience caring for her mother and how she supports herself and through her space after her mother has passed. It's a really beautiful interview, and if nothing else, you'll have fun hearing about her fly fishing. Keep watching. Welcome to Revive Thriveology. I help women transform their lives by harmonizing their living space through holistic home practices. I'm your host, Lisa Morton. Welcome, everyone, to Revive Thriveology. I'm your host, Lisa Morton, and today I have someone very special joining me, Ashely Kanlic. She is an interior designer, the current president of ASID Ohio North, the creator of The Bougie Brunette, which we're going to get into, an avid reader, a fly fisherman, which is very cool, and a hobby collector. Welcome, Ashely.
Hi. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I think you have such great energy, and I knew everyone would love you. Tell me briefly about this whole fly fishing thing. Give me a little overview of how you got into this.
So I got into fly fishing. I needed a hobby that was going to redirect some of my bad life choices. So I feel like I could have gone down a darker route there, and I fell into fly fishing, and I have loved it ever since. So it definitely has restored my sense of self, my mindfulness. It's given me an outlet to go experience things alone in the wilderness and nature. And I think it's been a really beneficial thing to meet other like-minded women, as well as build my self-confidence.
That's cool. I mean, I think you told me once that your first experience fly fishing was by yourself. You just took yourself out to the river and did it, which is pretty impressive.
So it was hysterical. I could go into the story. It actually, my cousin had taken me fly fishing a number of years ago, and I was like, well, that's kind of fun. But it was with his gear, and he kind of fished and then gave me the rod, and I kind of fished, and it was kind of like an afternoon with my cousin, which was awesome.
Okay.
And then years later, here I am faced with a lot of turmoil, which we might get into today, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I needed to go fishing. You know, like sometimes you just gotta like go fish, like pick that card up or, you know, go get in that river. And that's what I did. I went to the fly fishing, like the outfitting store, and I walked in, and Tiny was behind the counter. Brandon, he set me up with all the stuff that I needed for what I was fishing for. And he was like, these are the flies you need, and we'll get you this rod. So I bought like a cheap rod. I bought cheap waders on Amazon that were like $40. Mind you, it was summer-ish. It was warm. I didn't really need waders. So like something you don't know when you're doing this originally. And then when you're going into it, I was like, all right, well, I got all the gear. It's like that, what's that song? The shoes, the dress. I'm a princess, I guess. I had the waders.
I love that.
I had the tackle, and I guess I'm a fly fisherman now. So I jumped in the river. It was kind of nerve-wracking. I jumped in the river, and I was like, I had everything rigged up, tied all the flies onto the line, and I got in the river, and I decided
like tying flies. I don't know what that means, to be honest.
Well, there's tying up a rig, and then there's actually tying the flies. So yes, it's arts and crafts, which is why I don't understand why there's not more women in this sport.
That's so cool.
Right.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. I think we should have a group fly fishing experience with you.
It would be fun. I mean, I'm going actually on November 4th, so I don't know when this airs, but they do have trips all the time through local fly fishing shops, and I think
that's
there's
so
like
great.
Probably 7 or 8 fly fishermen, and some of them are some of my friends that are women that are going to be there. So it'll be a fun time.
Oh
But
my gosh. All right,
so,
friends, if you're in the Cleveland area, connect with Ashely. Go fly fishing.
yes,
I think
go
it's so
find
cool.
me.
Some excuse to be outside, right? And be in
Yes.
nature. I mean,
know.
sometimes we need those excuses to push us out there. We need a hobby. We need something to do.
No, my girlfriends and I usually leave our rods in our car. So I have another girlfriend. She's actually in the design industry, and she just messaged me yesterday. She's like, "I have my fly rods in the car. Like, if you have a few hours, you're out this way. Like, let's go jump in a river." So
That's
it's really
awesome.
fun.
Designers outside.
Yes,
It could be like an
outside.
HGTV show. Fly fishing. Oh my gosh.
Can you
Well,
imagine?
you're such a I always think of you as this cheerful, happy, you make me laugh when we're together. But I kind of want to move into a more serious topic if that's okay with you.
Yes.
And we did discuss this prior to the call that we would kind of go into this. Can you tell me a little bit about your recent years working, helping your mother and kind of all that entailed?
Yeah. So for your viewers, obviously you're aware, but for your viewers, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2021. So she had a year-long battle with cancer where I was fortunate enough to be there to be a caregiver. No one prepares you to be a caregiver. There's no class. No one sits you down in grade school and they're like, one day you're going to have to do X, Y, Z. And no one gives you those tools. And I kind of fumbled through it when I was able to help with my grandmother, and I fully entrenched myself with my mother then when she was diagnosed. And it was probably, and I describe it as the most lovely experience I could ever have. I think there's something so gracious and just heartfelt knowing that you're supplying your loved one with dignity and respect and love and care through their darkest times. So, it doesn't take a lot to do it, but emotionally you have to be ready for it.
Sure. Oh my goodness. We talked briefly prior about how you kind of set up your mornings, when you were caring for your mom, right? You kind of had your routine of trying to stick into your normal routine before you went to care for her. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it's really easy to get swallowed up by a big problem. It's really easy to kind of lose sense of self. And I'm sure you and your viewers and listeners all know that when you're facing a huge issue, it's really easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle. And I tried to be mindful that, yes, I'm taking care of someone, but yes, I need to take my own stand. I need to be my own person still. So I did try and wake up when I wanted to wake up. I tried to, unless we had doctor's appointments and things like that, I tried to supply myself with a good timeline in the morning for myself. I would stop and get my coffee. I would stop and get my mom a cappuccino on my way there. I tried to get ready each day. I tried to not just roll out of bed and go.
Right.
There's a number
little
of things,
time to
just
be
to
Ashely, maybe.
Wash off yesterday and start anew. And I know it benefited my mom to see routine like that, seeing me get ready every day for her. And I think it was beneficial. No one when you're sick wants to see a sick person, right? It's just, you don't. So getting dressed or wearing something silly, or I brought ears, we had a lot of fun, but it's the little things like that you have to give yourself time. You have to take care of your physical body. So working out, quiet time, reading, fly fishing, these are all coping mechanisms that I sort of employed during that time period.
Okay. So if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about your space where your mother lived. Tell me about setting up this space. Were there any special things you brought into this space, like flowers or certain mementos or decorative items to help her find peace and calm during this time?
So you had the luxury of meeting my mother, which is awesome. We went to one of your smudging classes a number of years ago, just a few.
She was so cool and spunky. I will not forget your
She
mom. She had a cool energy. I loved
She
it.
really did. So she already was sort of in touch with that sort of side of her, that the, the spiritual, the energies, all of that. So a lot of my love for Feng Shui and the chakras and crystals and all that sort of stems from my mother. So she already had her crystals. She already had some of her things set around, and we used to actually feng shui stuff back in the day together, which was kind of fun. So
That's
we
so
did
great.
a little bit of that. We started moving, like the metal element, the gold, the water elements. We started moving them around to make her feel better in the space.
That's so great.
I have a funny story. So
Okay.
my brother, I think I may have mentioned this to you, but
Okay.
my brother came over the one day, and it was an exceptionally hard week. And I told my mom that I was gonna smudge her house, and she said, "Ugh, whatever." She had gotten to a point where she was just like giving up the ghost, and she's like, "Whatever you guys want to do, go ahead. Like, I'm gonna sit here and watch the birds." I'm like, "Okay." So my brother, who has no sense of any of this, he's throwing him into it. Him and I went around the house and smudged and cleansed the house. So I made sure he didn't drink the day before. I made him wear light colored clothing. I mean, he shows up. We've got like the little chimes, and we have our sage, and we're going around the house, and we're like he's the one who's like, should we start chanting? So he started chanting. It was, I feel like our laughs through the house cleansed it more than the chanting or smoke or, any of it. But it was the funniest afternoon. I mean, we're going into rooms that Adam and I haven't been inside in decades, and we're cleansing them with smoke. It was a fun afternoon. We laughed, and then, do I think my mom felt the energy change? Yeah, I think she heard her children laughing in the house for the first time in a long time. So it was really beneficial.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story.
No problem.
So let's take a step forward. You did lose your mom at a point. Can you tell me about coping and setting up your space to support you? Because you took such good care of her, and now it's time you have to take care of you, right?
Right.
How did you go about that?
So it's not always easy, and grief is not linear. It's grief is ebbs. It's peaks and valleys. It ebbs and flows. It's constant. So I try to incorporate things that are my mother's and my grandmother's in my space. So I'm with them all the time. And that was one big thing that I wanted to maintain, which I guess my mom being a practitioner, she was a mental health practitioner for 50 years. So she really, I think, prepped us as a family for this ultimate demise. I think she did a lot of work. She had a unique way of making sure that we were taken care of. And that we could take care of ourselves. So we forecasted, I think, a lot of things. One thing I was able to, as an interior designer, able to reclaim one of the pieces of furniture that was hers. Her and I picked out the fabric and the trim and all of that, and I was able to get that recovered. And now that has a very special place in my master bedroom where I can lounge, and it's with me always. So
that's so nice.
That's one way I've sort of been able to help my space reflect my mother, support me on a daily basis, and hopefully, it gives me joy every time I see it, or sit on it.
That's so great. Like those little moments, right? Where you're just like, oh yeah, right?
And I'm a very sentimental person. So I have a little bit of my mom with me today. And then this is actually, I just keep mementos out. And this is actually my grandmother's like scarf ring. It's a little lion because she was a Leo, and like they sit together on my shelf in my office. But I just thought it was right for them to be here today.
That is so beautiful. I love that you're sharing all this. Oh my goodness. So let's talk about what is next for you. Because I mean, I'm sure it's been a couple years of just learning and growing as a human after everything you've been through. You know, the loss of your grandmother, caring for your mother and supporting her, and also being a wife, and Ashely, and, designer Ashely, just, everything, right?
Yes.
So what's next for you?
So through all of this, I am a firm believer you cannot rely on your family alone. So I am going to plug finding mental health support, whatever that might be to you. If you have someone in your life that can be there to support you, or if you need to go find professional help.
Okay.
I had free healthcare for 35 plus years with my mother. Right? She was therapizing me since the womb. So I would recommend anyone go to therapy, because that really helped sort out who I was in all of those hats that you mentioned. So I think now I am a stronger person in all of those houses, which
Wow.
I think it's work. It'll continue to be work. Each cup gets a little bit of water here and there, but I think I'm a definite, I'm on the right path. So currently, as a designer, I'm the president for ASID,
So that's the American Society of Interior Designers, which that's actually how Ashely and I met. When I lived in Ohio, we were both very involved in the ASID community. It's a design organization for it's the largest. Isn't it the largest design organization?
Yes, so it's the largest.
Yeah.
It was founded in 1975, and it's the largest nonprofit professional organization, I think, in the nation.
I don't want to say the world.
I feel like IIDA is a close second, but anyhow.
Either way.
I don't know anymore.
You know what? I will forever say I miss the ASID community there, because I remember moving there and everyone was so welcoming to me, and starting a business in a city I didn't know. It was terrifying. So that's also a great resource if you are looking for a designer in your community. Reach out to ASID, and they have all kinds of resources. If you are in Northeast Ohio, you're lucky because Ashely's the president, so can hook you up with just the right person. So let's keep diving in. What else are you doing? I know you got some fun things.
So I actually have funneled a lot of my energy. Before my mother passed away, I was working on a blog. For a number of years, I had a blog, and I love writing. I love putting pieces together, and I love the old world traditional way of doing things. So I had a blog for a number of years, and I revamped it while my mom was sick, and I finally launched it. So it is the new revamped The Bougie Brunette.
I love it.
Which I'm very excited about. It is a blog focused on pretty much all things entertaining, sophistication. It is not about the dollar amount. It's about being a classy, bourgeois, individual, upper middle class. It's pulling out the fine china. It's using those heirloom pieces that are passed down through your family. It's pulling out the linen napkins. It's doing a flower arrangement just to make you happy. Those sort of things are reflected of what I see as bougie. And they call me the bougie fisherman, so I felt like it kind of seemed fitting. I think I'm the only one with a silk scarf and waders on in the middle of the river.
That is I can just see it. I love it. But, when you talk about, I like your approach, right? It's not just about showy, fancy. It's about really loving. So I'll tell you, I was reading one of your blog posts, and I was like, I need to slow down today. So I got out. I have some of my grandmother's china. I did the French press. I took some time. It was just like this beautiful moment. And I'm really trying hard to do these lately, just like slow down and have these nice moments. And I love using my grandma's china. I can't think what it's called. It's like the glass with like all the little bubbles around, not bubbles, but little nubs around, and it's so pretty.
Is
and
it the Fenton glass or
I can't think of it at the moment.
Okay.
But I love using her stuff. I love pretty glassware. I love collecting vintage pieces, but her pieces are my favorite. So, it was really this moment to slow down and to use some of those things. And I think that's so great. That's so important in life to get I guess, what am I trying to say? Or get back in touch with some of those special pieces, vintage pieces, those things that mean something to us from, past years.
I know. I don't know if you saw my recent post, but this sort of embodies the version of me. I think I like really nice things. I like things that'll last. I think that's what it boils down to. I want things that can last through generations, and then you can reflect on the legacy of someone. So your grandma's china, I'm sure she's thrilled that you're using it. And that goes to say the same thing. I posted recently, I bought a McDonald's surf and turf. I got a Big Mac and a filet of fish, and I put it right there on my grandmother's. I mean, literally, it's her honeymoon china. She picked it out on her honeymoon. And I was sitting there at the table by myself eating this surf and turf.
That's great.
And is it bougie? Kind of. It's my interpretation.
Your interpretation, that's it. I love it. And somebody else's might be like maybe using something else from, their mother or their, I don't know, some other meaningful piece, right? It's finding meaning and putting meaning and using these things that have good energy, right? That's why I love using, my grandma's glassware and china and stuff from her, because it's that connection to her, right? It's this feminine energy that I can connect with. And so maybe I'm trying to think, is there any like advice perhaps you could give someone to find these meaningful connections?
Yeah. So obviously, if you have someone in your family, it could be an aunt, a cousin, a mother, a grandmother, if you are looking for connection, they're usually already around you. So building those memories early. The reason my blog posts are going to be going live on Tuesdays is because Tuesdays are a big day for me. As a young adult, I started going to Cocktail Tuesdays with my mom and grandma every year, every week, for years. I mean, we're talking decades. Like, it was 12 plus years of,
wow,
where are we meeting this Tuesday? Cocktails are free at grandma's. Like, honestly, it was such a great experience, and it was a great time for us to download and get to know each other as more than just our roles as our friend, like actual friendship, which was really, really great. So I would recommend that. You don't have to have a traditional relationship long term with your mom or your grandmother or your great aunt. You can go have coffee with them once a week, and honestly, they'd probably really appreciate it, and you'd probably really appreciate it. So
I love that.
That's what I'd recommend. If you can get out, go be with the people you love already.
Ooh, and maybe we can all implement Cocktail Tuesday. Maybe it can be a cup of hot tea Tuesday.
Yes, cup
for
of hot
some
tea.
of us.
Hot tea, champagne. We whatever you're into, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a season of apple cider, so maybe a hot cider, in a cozy mug, and take a little time on that Tuesday. I like this. I think I'm going to implement this.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's been really beneficial. And even if you don't partake in a fancy cocktail, I do recommend putting it in a fancy glass.
Nice.
Because you can zhuzh anything up. I know I have lots of friends and family that don't partake, and it's really elevated. Put a fancy garnish or get some flower petals in that
I love
the tea,
that.
Garnish.
I mean, there's some amazing mocktail recipes out there.
Yeah.
I've been playing around, and even my mother-in-law has, drinks a lot of water every day. She's all about hydrating. She drinks it out of a beautiful wine glass.
Oh, I love
that. Think about how that elevates everything. Just taking in your water. Yeah, it's really caring for yourself, treating yourself really well, not just grabbing the plastic bottle and drinking out of it.
Right. And they're actually today on my social media will go live with a post about me putting snacks in a fancy dish. So funny. I feel like it just elevates the whole experience. So we're all going to be Bridgerton experts after this. We're all going to pretend like we're living in the 1900s.
Why not? You know, it's so easy to just not care about ourselves. I mean, this is really kind of a form of self-care, right? So easy to just eat out of the packaging, to just not use actual silverware, to just stand at the counter and eat and not sit down with maybe a cloth napkins and a placemat that matches and just up level your day to day.
And I think it's a lot to do with how we as a society are living. And we are so go, 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 fast, 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 that we're kind of forgetting the normal, traditional, the experienced, the timelessness of day-to-day mundane life. And that's what I think the Bougie Brunette really is going to bring. So I'm focusing on topics like tipping, etiquette, letter writing, some of these things that maybe your mom didn't teach you or you didn't know until. So like ground chuck is 80-20. Like that's, so there's certain things like that I'm going to sort of high level touch base on, just because I want everyone to have a place to go to get back to the way I perceive the world should be. A little slower, a little simpler, a little bit more kind.
More kind, I like that. And kind to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, this has been so fun. So I want to keep in touch, and I'll have you back when you've been sharing more and we can talk more about things you're getting into, because I just think you're going to go amazing places and do amazing things and support amazing people after all you've been through.
Thank you.
I have one final question.
Okay.
And I'm really curious. I've been so curious what you were going to say. What is your favorite space in your home?
Okay, so that's like a loaded question because I love my house.
You have a beautiful home.
But, okay, so I spend a lot of time in this room that we're sitting in right now just because I like to look outside.
Okay.
But I feel like my favorite space in my house is going to be my master bedroom. I think it's comfortable. It has the vibrant, fun colors that I love, the oranges, the deep blues, greens, the browns. It really does make me feel comfortable, at ease, and I just love the coziness of that room. And I feel like
plus it also has your mom's piece, right?
Yes. So I can sit there on that chaise lounge and I feel like she's with me. And I think that's probably what I'd say. My husband would probably say, like, I spend so much time sitting at my vanity in my bathroom. I just sit on the phone sometimes with girlfriends there. So I don't know. There's so many little places I like to sit and perch that I think living in a well-appointed home and having good energy and making sure that it's tidy and clean and you can experience your space daily, just moving around.
I love that because it doesn't have to be just one space. I mean, a lot of people I've interviewed have talked about the outdoor spaces that they love too. So, and if your spaces you're filled your spaces with things that you like, you're going to like them all, right?
It's true. So it just depends on the mood. I feel like in the evenings, I like to go upstairs and get cozy. In the morning, I love sitting down here. I call this my coffee shop. I usually have fresh flowers and I can look outside and I can have my caffeine and I can sit here and work on my computer at this little round table. So it just depends.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Ashely, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
I really wanted to dive into this with you because you've dealt with things so beautifully, and maybe I'm sure there's been ugly times, right? I'm not saying that. I just I know I work with a lot of clients who are going through heavy things, right? Things that you went through, illness, divorce, and Ashely's an example of coming out on the other side, having learned a lot of lessons, and now she's putting cool things out into the world. So I thought you'd be a little inspiration. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. I just hope everything I put out online reflects the generations of my family and legacy that they taught me. So you can get a glimpse of Joyce and Deborah on the blog.
Joyce and Deborah. Yes, I love that. All right, everyone. I will be putting all of Ashely's info in the show notes, so be sure to go there so you can check everything out and follow her. One last time, thank you again, Ashely, and everyone. I will see you next time. Take care. I'd like to thank our production company, Coraggio Media, the WELT 95.7 studios, and our sponsor, Good Chi. For more information, follow the link in the show notes. Be sure to hit like, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a 5-star review. If you want to connect, find us on Facebook, and be sure to let me know what topics you'd like to hear about. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.